Hello everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back to my channel. Well, it seems that Graham's going to be in hospital a little bit longer. He's picked up a rather nasty infection, so they won't let him home until that's cleared up, which I think is going to take a bit of time, but he's quite happy in his own way. So while it's relatively quiet here, apart from the pouring rain outside, I thought we'd get on and do another Christmas project. So today we are going to make this gorgeous little cracker box. When I say cracker box, it's like a gift box really, I guess. And it seals at the top like a cracker. So that's why it's called a cracker box. Now you can do these circular or you can do them in a sort of box shape. Now I'm going to do mine in a box shape. It's because they both look great, but if this is your first time making a cracker box, it's a lot easier. I found it a lot easier to do it this way. And so perhaps on another time we will do the circular one. But if you're new to crafting or you've never made a cracker box before, you'll find this, you'll probably find this a lot easier than the circular one. So I like to keep it simple, especially for those who perhaps haven't had as much experience in crafting, so that we can all do this together. So we're going to make this today. We're going to make the same size, but we're going to use a different paper. I'm going to make another Christmas box, another Christmas gift box, but you can make this for any occasion you like and for anyone that you like. So I'm just going to move this out the way for now, and I'm going to bring in my paper, which I've already put on my scoreboard. Now you will need a piece that measures for this particular size. If you want it taller, you'll need to cut it longer, and if you want it wider, you'll need to cut it wider. But of course you will need to do you'll have to work out the measurements. So mine is going to be a 2-inch square. So, and you'll need a flap, but we'll go a glue flap or adhesive flap, but we will go through that as we go along. I'll explain that as we go along. So to begin with, so as I say, did I say? Anyway, if I didn't say, this particular one is 9 by 11 inches. And on the 9-inch side, we're going to do this together. I've not done any preparation at all. We're going to do this together on camera. So here we go. We need to score on the 9-inch side at 2 inches, at 4 inches, at 6 inches, and at 8 inches. So on the 9-inch side, you score at 2, 4, 6, and 8 inches. What could be easier? Then turn it round to the 11-inch side, and we are going to score at 2 inches and at 9 inches. And all of these measurements, there aren't very many. In fact, I think that's probably about all of the measurements, but I will put all of the measurements in the description box down below. Just click on the more. So 1 or 2 people are still asking me, or perhaps newcomers are asking me, where do you find the description box? Well, underneath the video, there's a little button that says more. Just click on it and it'll drop down and you'll see the measurements down there and anything else, any other relevant information. So another tip is if you're using directional paper, as I am, make sure that you put that on your board first and you have your directional paper on the shortest side of whichever size you do or decide to do. Make sure that you've got that on the short side, because when you score it, if you did it on the long side, unless of course it's that way, but if your directional paper, your pattern is in landscape mode like this, or portrait mode, I beg your pardon, landscape is the other way. If it's in the longness mode, in portrait mode, you'd end up having it on the wrong side. But if your directional paper goes that way, horizontally, you would have it that way. But this, to just make sure if you're using directional paper, if you're not, if it's just a pattern, if it's just a pattern paper, it doesn't really matter which way you have it. But make sure you score it with the pattern in the right direction. Otherwise, especially in this one, if I'd have done this the wrong way around, we could have had trees going across that way and it would look like they'd fallen down. So it could have been a blizzard, but there you go. So that's the only scoring we need to do. So I'm just going to put my scoreboard to one side, and we will need to find ourselves a pair of scissors. And on the end where the adhesive flaps are, you will find 2 small rectangles, and you need to just cut along the score lines, and we're just going to cut those off. We don't need those. So these little rectangles at the end here, we are just going to cut off. But don't cut too far, otherwise you'll end up cutting the flaps off. So we're going to just trim those off like that. Oh, didn't quite cut far enough, but that's all right. If you don't cut far enough, it's easy enough just to cut up to it. But if you cut across, you're going to end up cutting this bit off, and then you'll be in real trouble. So that's that part. Now, this, because of the directional paper, the other thing about directional paper, especially if it's vertically, you need to make sure you put these bits, the bottom at the right, the slips for the bottom at the right place. Otherwise, again, the trees will be upside down. So we are going to cut up. We're not going to chop them off. We are just going to cut up to the first score line, because these are the tabs that will create the bottom of our box. So we're just going to cut up the score line to where they cross over with the horizontal score line. So there you go. So we just cut up our tabs like that. We'll be doing a bit more to that later. But for now, we're just going to free up our tabs so that we've got 4 flaps to seal our box. Now, we need to do a bit of work on this bit here. So just where that line is, where you see the score line, fold it over. It'll come back in a minute, not to worry. But don't touch the flap. Just score it over like that, or fold it over like that. And what you need to do, I'm going to use a small pair of scissors. Starting from, if you have the flap, the adhesive flap on your left, it doesn't matter which way you do it. What we're going to do, we're going to cut what some people call crocodile teeth. So we're going to do this together. I'm not going to speed anything up. I'm just going to go along this with you like that. Just cut until the pieces fall out. So try to keep them fairly even. It doesn't have to be exact, because once we've put once we've put the tie on the front or on the top, it won't really matter. But we need to keep them reasonably even, but they don't have to be exact. So just, you can fiddle about like I'm doing. So we need to just take them out. Try and, bigger scissors might have been a good idea, but I didn't want to cut too far down. So we're just going to pull that out. So we will go along. I'll try and do this a little, now I've done it a couple of times, I will try and do this a bit quicker. But if we don't, we don't. So we're just going to cut where it meets, like that. So we're going to go all the way along, but keep a little bit of a gap here. Otherwise you might find it all falls apart. And that's what we don't want to happen. And you don't have to worry too much that they don't have to be exact. As you can see, mine aren't exact, but roughly, as long as they're roughly the same size, roughly the same distance apart, and roughly the same length. So if you really wanted to, you could draw a line and measure it all out, but I'm not that conscientious, so I didn't do that. But if you wanted to, of course you could do that. That's up to you. Entirely up to you. So this is one of those things where, as children, our parents used to say to us, well, my parents anyway, especially my mother, I think this was a mother's thing rather than a father. Well, in our house, it was a mother's thing. She said, don't do what I do what I tell you to do. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, don't necessarily do what I do what you want to do, because it's your project. So there you go. And then we're going to just take that out like that. And you will have this very familiar, well, that's at the bottom at the moment, but if we take it the right way around, you'll have this very familiar looking cracker top. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to turn it over. This is the wrong side, and this is the adhesive flap. And I'm just going to fold that in. Now you can use glue if you want to. I would advise you not to use hot glue because it might make it too bulky. But I'm going to use a red runner tape just for the time being. I would normally use glue, but I want this to stick straight away. So I'm going to use runner glue. But if you want to, another tip, you could still use glue. You could still use your runner tape or even your double-sided tape if you want to, so that you get that instant stick. And then you could put I would use something like tacky glue on top of it. So that's entirely up to you. It's your project. You can do this however you feel comfortable. I'm doing it this way because for me, especially for a video, it feels comfortable. So that's how I'm doing it. So we're going to bring that over, and we're going to, the only thing about doing it this way, of course, is you only get one crack at the whip, so to speak. So, but as it happens, that's okay. So where your join is there, where you've got your join, that is going to be the back of your box. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that over. So this will now be the front of our box. And so what I want to do, we're going to focus on this bit now. So this is going to be the front of our box. So I'm going to bend that one backwards. We will be sticking it down, of course. But if you save that one till last, you'll get a lovely edge on the front here. So the other thing I'm going to do, the only other thing I'm going to do, before we stick our base together, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors. In fact, I'm going to use my big scissors for this, because it'll just make the job go a bit quicker. And I'm just going to cut a little tiny wedge. And it is just a tiny, oh, that might be a bit too big, but it doesn't matter. But just cut a small wedge out of all, but not the front one, because the front one will keep it nice and tidy. So we've got the front one bent out of the way. So on the others, we're just going to take our scissors. I shall do this with you, with the other three, and take that down there. We've just got one more to do. Then we're going to get this put together. So I'll compare the two different papers, or the two different patterns, once they're put together, when this one's finished. So we're nearly there, guys. So just pull that out. I'm just going to slide the debris out of the way. And we've still got this one intact. So now, again, this is entirely up to you how you want to put yours together. So I'm going to push the back one down first. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to smooth the scissors out of the way for one thing. Take my runner tape, actually just flatten it down for a bit. Put some on there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to push that down. And then I'm going to take one of the side tabs. This is where your fingers stick to everything, but that's all right. Take one of the side tabs, fold that down. Take what I do. It does not want to stay down. When I made the sample, it went beautifully. So take one of the side tabs, hold it down. Right, we'll get there in the end. And just push it across. Pop your fingers in where you've still got space, and just put that down like that. Fold that down like that. And again, on this bit, in fact, what you could do, once you've got that bit of a base, put some more adhesive on the opposite flap and fold it over like that. So by the time you've got this all together, you've got 4 layers on the base. So if you've got something heavy, for example, a bottle of perfume, or something heavy, this will hold it quite nicely. So this is where we put our front flap on. So this is why we didn't cut the tapered edge. So you fold that over like that, stick it down. Then when you turn it to the front, you've got that beautiful rounded edge. So it's very professional. So if you're selling your items, if you're doing a craft fair, or you sell your items, that will give it a very professional finish. And how you do, don't do what I do, or don't necessarily do what I do whatever you want to do. There are several ways you can close this. Now you can do what I'm going to do if you want to. I'm going to use a ribbon, but you can use ordinary string, you can use twine, you can use tinsel twine, you can use whatever you like to secure, well, it's not really securing, but to make the tie at the front. Now what you do, because we've got these little diamonds cut out, it will, she says, it will just go in like that. Now I'm going to use a piece of blue ribbon. This is organza ribbon, so I'm going to make sure I keep it on the front like that. It's a bit squashed now, but it'll be all right by the time we're done. So if you're worried about that gap, just put your hands in, just pop a finger in. So this is too long, this ribbon, but that doesn't matter. Because we're going to tie a bow. Now, if I tie a bow... Now, when I tied my bow for my sample one to show you, it went beautifully. Whether it's going to do the same on camera remains to be seen. So we're going to tie a bow. So this will very easily undo, and you can put your gift inside. If you want to, you can make a gift tag, or just hang... Actually, there are 2 ways of doing the gift tag. You can either... Hey, that's not bad, actually. You can either hang it from here, or you can make a little white label. Oops, sorry. Make it, or use a gift tag and pop on the back. But I'm going to do it this. I'm not going to put a label on just yet. I'm just going to tie my bow. That's not bad actually. That one's not quite level, but we won't worry too much. Now obviously there's far too much overhang there, so I'm just going to cut my ribbon. Now I'll give you another tip with ribbon. If you cut it at an angle, it does two things. One, it makes it look more decorative, but more important, it stops it from fraying. Now how can I do this without covering the camera? So if I hold it like that, so hold your scissors at an angle, and it doesn't matter whether you cut up or down, but just cut it at an angle and it'll stop the ribbon from fraying. So I'm just going to bring that round like that. I know my first bow was a lot tidier, but hey ho. Now with these beautiful papers, I shall fuss with the bow later. I'm not quite happy with that, but it'll do for now. You get the idea. Now with these beautiful papers, you can either leave that like that. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous as it is. But if you wanted to, now some might say, and I suppose I would be one of those that would say, because of it's quite a pale, although it's a pattern, it's quite a pale pattern, I think it needs a pop of colour. Now what I found when I was sorting out my stuff, some of my Christmas stash was in a drawer that was hidden behind Graham's bed. So while he's not here, what I did was I wheeled the bed out and grabbed all my Christmas stash. I couldn't believe what was in there or how much was in there. But what I did find, I found these gorgeous little gift tags. And that one, I think, is cuteness overload. It is so gorgeous, this little bear with the umbrella and all that glittery paper. But I was going to pop that on like that. But to be honest, I don't like that. And I don't like that either. So what I'm going to do, because it's a 3D one, and it's already got an adhesive foam tab, or foam pad, I should say, I'm going to very carefully take that off. And if it's still sticky, it is, but I'm just going to put some runner tape on to make it just a little bit more sticky, because it's been in the drawer a little while, so the stickiness might have worn off a bit. And I'm just going to pop that, roughly, she said, in the middle. So just lay it down until you're happy with the position, and then just give it a gentle press. Now, if you wanted to, you could do that if you've got these ones with the 3D stickers. Now, I'd love to give you a link with this, but I can't remember where I got them, so I'm afraid I can't. I'm really sorry about that. But they are just about everywhere, especially at this time of year. Everyone's got their Christmas stash out, I've noticed. But that, obviously, that does match with that one. So if you wanted to, you could just pop a hole in there, and you could put this further down, and you could use this as a gift tag and hang it from there, and that would be really cute. Or you could still keep it intact and you could put it on the back so that you still got your gift tag. So in fact, you know what, I might do that. So talk about thinking on your feet, or in my case on my bum, because I'm sitting down. So I'm just going to put, or bottom I should say, maybe I shouldn't say bum. So I'm just going to put that on the back so it looks just as good on the back as it does on the front, and stick that down. If it doesn't stay, I'll use a spot of glue later on. But it seems to be behaving itself quite nicely. So we've now got a gift tag on the back, and we've got this beautiful little coordinating bear on the front, and I think that is absolutely adorable. I will tidy up this bow a bit later on. So there is our cracker that we've made on video. There is the sample one that I made to show you, and as you can see, the bow is a lot tidier. Always is when I do it off camera, but there you go. So there we go. There are our two crackers. One I showed you from my sample, and one that we made together on camera. Now, when I had this one, I made this one up yesterday afternoon when I got back from the hospital after visiting. So a friend popped in, and she said to me, "Oh, where did you get that shaped box?" I said, "Well, I made it as a sample for a video." And she has a friend who's just started her own perfume company. She makes her own synthetic perfumes, so out of things like flowers and non-chemical perfumes. And she wants apparently she wants boxes shaped like that. So I said, this video is going out. You can either make it for yourself, or I'm happy to make them for you. So I've now got a contract to make these boxes. So there you go. So have a go, especially if you do craft fairs. You never know what's going to come of it. So I'm going to leave them there, and they stand up really nicely. Let's use the one as an example that we made. it stands up really nicely. That will stand under the Christmas tree if that's what you do, or on a shelf, or wherever you choose to put your gifts. And whether you're going to keep this, gift it, or sell it, these boxes are so cute. And if you wanted to, you could make these in batches and leave the bases unglued and just fold them flat so that you can pull them out and use them whenever you want to. All you have to do is pop them together. So there we go, guys. There is our cracker box, all ready for Christmas. But of course, you don't just have to use them for Christmas, as we said earlier. You can swap out the papers for birthdays, weddings, any occasion that you think would be suitable for this type of box. And so I hope you have a go yourself. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. And I will see you in my next video. And until then, thank you again for watching. I do appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Have fun. And as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye for now.